Terrific. So the journey is definitely something that we all want to get right. You know, the journey and the experience is very relative to us being able to deliver on expectations and us being able to set the expectation for that customer to not only want them to recommend that builder, you as a builder, to other customers, as well as the entire experience that they've had. Think about an experience, whether you go to a restaurant and you have a nice evening out and it turns out terrific all the way through the evening. It's very centric on all different types of factors through that experience. So it's relative to the food, it's relative to the location, it's relative to the environment and how you're being treated, how you're being interacted with, and all the way through paying the bill and leaving, and someone saying, you know, I hope you had a great evening, come back again. You know, so it's definitely something that we all want to have a full, well-rounded experience. And so the journey is part of making sure that we get those things right along the way. So you can see, you know, I set up this slide to be able to address the personas, the map, the voice of the customer, and the trends. So there's all different things that go into making sure that we get it right. From developing the persona, in this case, we've developed it on a family, Mr. and Mrs. Homebuyer, the children. They all have input, they all have needs, they all have the ability to speak to the entire purchasing of the home. So you look at the map, it's definitely based on the awareness, your purchasing, the interaction, the advocacy, and then the voice of the customer. This is definitely where you need to be able to listen. You need to be able to capture and document that voice of the customer. So it's perfect to be able to go through an entire experience, but then you also want to hear back from that customer. You also want to hear back from that home buyer to be able to capture what you did well and what you didn't do well, to be able to work on that. And that's all about this customer journey. The industry trends really helps frame this as well. So kind of what's out there, what is being, what are some of the newer technologies? What are some of the newer things that are being requested? What are some of the needs of the family, in this case, that we need to be able to understand? So developing your persona is all about understanding that family. In this case, it's the Hughes family. It's making sure you get all of their details from them, so you can document this, and then you also look at all of the factors that go into their decision making. So who are they? Where do they come from? What's important to them? What are some of the specifics that matter to them, as well as a husband, as a wife, as a child, so that you can better understand that entire experience. These are some of the tools also that help you document that. And if you have questions about some of these basic tools, this is just kind of a scraping of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to some of the tools. But if you do have questions, reach out to John, and John will get me to get you some of the information that you may need.
Yeah, I kind of blew the introductions because we wanted you guys to do self-introductions. But Mike, I've known for 15 plus years or so, has experience as an integrator with Sonos, with Legrand, and now with Level. So he's been in this game for a long time and working with builders and integrators to deliver value to the consumer. So I blew that. And then Ken, we're gonna get to, he kind of doesn't need an introduction, especially in Phoenix, but he's the VP of Sales and Marketing for Shea Homes, and probably the guy who I would say is on the leading edge, both in home technology and on the digital transformation side of things. He's a double threat. But I'm thrilled to have you guys on the panel, and I'm sorry I blew that setup.
Oh, no problem.
Okay.
Thanks. One important thing as well, just to know, is at one point during my career also, I worked for a builder, so I have an understanding and I worked for a builder, and I have an understanding of not only the construction process, but what also is important to the builder as an entity, and also working with that customer. So some of the things that you look at and you judge and you measure, whether you're a builder or you're a company that wants to make sure you're doing it right. One thing is NPS, right? It's a Net Promoter Score. I'm sure you've all heard of Net Promoter Score. Net Promoter Score is helpful to understand if you're doing something right or if you're not, but it's very linear. So it doesn't really map that journey. It just knows if you're doing a good job or if you're not really doing a good job. So some of the things that help get beyond that Net Promoter Score are CSAT, so the customer satisfaction. So this is kind of what you'll see mapped out in the journey map that I have laid out in a couple more slides. But this is the persona of the Hughes family, and one of the things you want to be able to identify is the thing that's kind of circled there, is making sure you get the level of confidence with this persona. So how tightly have you gotten this? Is it something that you've pulled together through anecdotal feedback? Is it somebody that you've had an in-depth interview with? Is it based on just a survey? So in this case, this is a high confidence rating. So this is an interview that was done with this family to be able to gather all these points. So here's a example of a journey map. So as you continue to have that interview and you're asking all of the same questions, you're identifying those areas that you do well, the areas that you're meeting the expectation, which is that baseline, and then also the pain points. The pain points are really the areas that you focus on to be able to get that experience into a better place. So you can see there's different stops along this journey, the awareness, the purchase, the installation, use, the advocacy, and they're categorized with the experience and the product. So here's kind of some thoughts on how that journey continues. You'll see some common themes and some pain points along the way that you're able to address and you're able to identify. And I think that's about it for me.